Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Good Investing. I'm your host, Tim Nash. With the Impact Investment of the Month, we're talking to Harv Sidhu, CEO of Build Smartr. Build Smartr is a young company that is helping to build resilient homes faster and more affordably. They make prefabricated steel walls that can be assembled to build everything from laneway homes to senior care facilities. They're currently raising $100,000 through Goparity, a crowdlending platform that makes impact investing super easy and accessible. The generous folks at Goparity are giving listeners a $50 voucher, so make sure to check the show notes for the sign-up link or code if you're already on the platform. Let's get into it. Harv, you are CEO of a company called Build Smartr. What was the inspiration for you to start this company?
With my skill set in my life. And building these homes, I realized the cost is going up every single year. And there's a lot of waste being produced. About 30% of all lumber that people were purchasing was actually going to the landfill from day one. And then these homes are built non-combustible. They're not built to really last a long time. And I figured, okay, something's got to change here at some point. And that's when I started Build Smart in 2018 with really the goal of trying to find the cheapest, fastest way to build really resilient homes. And that's kind of what we've been doing at Build Smarter since then.
Amazing. So, okay, so that, and just to kind of like spell it out for clients that are curious about this or watchers that maybe haven't heard of this before. So, okay, so that you build what are called prefabricated homes that you and made out of steel. Is that right?
Yeah, think of it as more a wall printing company. We really build walls and joists and trusses. So the way the process works is we can take any set of architectural drawings, whether it's a house or an eight-story building, like one of our bigger projects. We make a 3D model of that. We send that 3D model to machines, and the machines fabricate each piece that then makes that wall. The wall is labeled, sent to the job site, and installed with big Lego blocks, really enabling us to build any type of project. And the carpenters are the ones that we're training to build this way versus building in wood or concrete.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, so we've got a little video for people who not because I know sometimes it can be a little bit tricky. Because what's the project that you're building right now?
So I mean, we have multiple projects, but the video that you'll be watching is a eight-story building. It's the largest or the tallest prefab steel building in Canada. It's a BC housing project, and it's a senior care facility.
So this is a senior care facility, and remind me where in BC, which community it's in?
It's in Langley.
Langley, BC. Amazing. So, okay. So let me see if I can do this. Here we go. And then now if I click play here, and folks will be able to see me, they should still be able to hear you, but they can't see you. This is like a time lapse of this building. And so you guys build all of these walls. These are like steel walls that are all sort of prefabricated and then shipped to the construction site as is. And then this is using the crane, basically putting these walls up to create a senior living facility. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. So you'll see a time lapse. This is 5 days, 180 walls installed, the entire floor, four contractors having crane time for about 4 hours per day. But they know where every single wall goes, and they're literally just picking up the wall, putting it in the right place, going to the next one. Really, that thinking is all done in advance in that 3D modeling stage.
So there's like an architect will come up with the design. You'll take that design, figure out the sort of like Lego pieces that you need to be able to build it. You'll then build everything using steel off site. And then ship it here so that, with the crane, you're basically like sort of putting the Lego pieces together. I know that's an oversimplification, but is that kind of close enough?
Yeah, exactly. So before level 8 even starts, our entire level 8 is fabricated and delivered to the site. So they have the entire level 8 on the ground ready to go. So as soon as they're finished level 7, boom, level 8 starts for installation.
This is super cool. So I'm just gonna bring it back here, and so that now people can kind of see it completed. This is like the wall, sort of the hallway going through, and then all the different rooms are there, and you can really see how in like 5 days you've essentially completed like the whole floor. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, super efficient.
Amazing. That's super cool. So, okay. So then, you've got a campaign right now up on Goparity. which is a platform that we love, that sort of longtime listeners are going to understand this. This is a crowd lending platform for social entrepreneurs such as yourself. In order to get listed on that, like, people really are looking for impact. So what are the benefits? What is the positive impact, both economically and environmentally, of prefabricated construction?
Yeah, when it comes to the economic side, we're able to build these projects cheaper than wood, which is kind of surprising to a lot of people. We're also able to get them built faster and higher volume. But when it comes to the environmental side of things, the way we look at it is, so steel is the most recycled material in the world already by weight, and it can be sourced from electric arc furnaces. So you have this net zero manufacturing process. At the same time, it can be infinitely recycled. That's really kind of the ideal building material, and it lasts longer. So you really want building material that can be recycled an infinite number of times and can be manufactured in net zero process. The way we envision is, if you, in 100 years, we can tear down 100 homes and just build them and reconfigure them in a different way ultimately.
Amazing. Because so Tammy asked, is your steel 100% virgin source, or do you also use recycled steel? So it said you use like an arc. Is that right?
Yeah, so I'm not even sure if it's possible to buy virgin steel anymore. So if
Yeah.
we're purchasing steel, about 65% of it to 70% of it is recycled. That's just naturally in the market. We're also able to source steel from like an eco line from these steel mills. The eco line will be like 95% recycled and made from like electric arc furnaces.
Amazing. Electric arc. So that's why it's considered net zero. Is that right?
Yeah, it's essentially a new way of smelting steel.
That's so cool.
It's relatively net zero. There's a net zero certified facility in the States.
Amazing. And I mean, if it uses electricity, obviously it's going to depend on the electricity mix and doing that. But I know that a lot of like metallurgical coal is used in steel production. So if we can do it from electricity, that's super, super cool. Lynn asks, is this like a Lego build? Like, kind of. I think this is, the biggest Legos that I've ever seen. How energy intensive is the recycling process? Do you know?
I believe it's quite energy intensive. The net zero steel that we're able to purchase from Nucor in the States, I
Yep.
believe they're using solar energy and wind energy to kind of power their facility. But it still requires a lot of energy, but that energy is being sourced from, uh, sustainable resources.
Absolutely. And that, Ron asks, I don't think you'll necessarily be able to answer the first part, which is what are costs like for your residential homes? Because you've done, I don't know of how many residential projects you've done. The projects I've seen have been a little bit more like sort of like offices, or like this one is a healthcare facility.
Yeah, we've done over 25 projects. Majority of them have actually been residential homes. We
Oh,
are essentially the supplier of your walls. So we supply the walls of the entire building for about 20 to $25 per square foot. In that, you will get all the walls, joists, and trusses, everything in a package
cool.
and with the building plans. So that way your team can install everything. That's the way kind of our pricing is kind of done.
I love it. So you're not building the home itself. You're making the walls.
Yeah.
That's sort of the piece that you're responsible for. Asks, what is the hardening aspect of your system? That how do your homes hold up to fires, hurricanes, etc.? I mean, my understanding is that one of the big benefits of steel compared to timber, especially, is fires. That in BC, where it's kind of like we're dealing with these like almost permanent fire, fire seasons, that steel does hold up much better in a fire. Is that right?
Yeah, it's a non-combustible home, and it also performs better
Yeah.
in hurricanes and actually in earthquakes. So we actually have videos where they've done a forest fire test,
Yeah.
and they built a home out of steel. The steel structure was still standing. Even in the LA forest fires, the commercial buildings, which are built out of steel, they were still standing actually.
Wild. And that he asks what type of insulation you're using, but that's not what you do. You do the steel walls, and then someone else would do the insulation.
Yeah,
Is that right?
exactly. So that installation will be spec'd by the energy advisor for the project. It really depends on what neighborhood you're in, whether it's exterior or interior. We've seen everything.
I love it. I love the specialization. Lynn asks, oh, I don't know, how will the tariffs potentially affect your business?
It's,
Oh,
I mean,
that's
it's hard to say until the tariffs actually
yeah,
come in. We don't really see it having too big of an impact. The good thing with steel is it's pretty much manufactured in almost every country. It's very
yeah,
abundant, actually. It's made
yeah.
from iron ore. It's extremely abundant, actually.
Amazing. And then Gina says, this is such a great ops innovation. Absolutely. Given the devastation in California, could you work with Nucor to keep your product in the States? Interesting question. Also asking, I wonder how we can leverage for addressing affordable housing. So, I mean, modular homes, like I'm seeing all kinds of uses for it. Things like, garden suites, laneway homes, really, and then, in terms of affordable housing, I think this really does serve to bring down the cost of really any build that uses this process. Is that fair?
Yeah, exactly. And we just want to make the walls. We want to let all the other trades, kind of be in that system and do what they do best, and let us make the walls as cheap and as fast as we can.
I love it. This is super, super cool. So let's talk a little bit about your crowd lending campaign, because this is live right now. This is like an option that, that people can do. I always get these questions, Tim, how can I start impact investing? And, often the window opens and then, kind of things sell out and the window closes. Well, folks, the window is open right now to be able to invest in Build Smarter. Tammy asks, are you in Ontario? You're in BC. Is that right?
Oh, we're in
Vancouver?
BC. We have one project that is starting in Ontario pretty soon here. We actually have one project starting in San Francisco pretty soon. So we are sending
Ooh.
panels outside of Lower Mainland here. The only slight problem ends up being shipping. But as long
Yep.
as the client is willing to pay for that shipping cost, and it's
Yep.
still feasible, that I think that project's in St. Catharines, Ontario. So it must be a
Cool.
significant shipping cost regardless.
I know St. Catharines. All right. So, in terms of the Goparity platform, so this is a platform that we have profiled in the past, different campaigns. But really what they do is this idea of crowd lending. So this isn't, like a Kickstarter. People aren't like buying walls from you. No, no, no. They're also, this isn't equity based crowdfunding. So they're not getting a percentage of your company. That by investing in with you through GoParity, we are lending you money. So what attracted you to raising money specifically through GoParity?
Yeah, we've had a couple of these kind of funding companies approach us over the last couple of years, and what we didn't like was with most crowdfunding platforms, the probability of the investors getting their money back because they're getting a percentage of the company is super low. A lot of times, these companies, will never get to that, like exit stage. What
Yep.
we liked was we can go to our network and tell them, look, this is a guaranteed, return. That's a set return that we're agreeing with, and that GoParity is kind of, outlining. That is a kind of a steady return every single month. That is essentially backstopped by our projects, what we have, our contracts. So we thought this is a good setup for us in terms of not having to give up equity, at the same time, good for clients and investors that can kind of dip their toes and kind of investing with us, but getting kind of a set return here.
Love it. So, we can go through. I've just got the screen share up right now with the campaign on GoParity. It looks like you're paying 6.65% annually. The payment frequency, so it's a 24-month term, but my understanding is the grace period is 12 months, meaning you're not going to start paying back any of the money until a year later. And then, from there, people will start receiving sort of monthly payments on this. It's a really great site. Yamini, if you can share this link, thank you so much. So what we've got is that this is sort of a link to the campaign. You're raising 100K. We're only at 17K right now, so hopefully we can give you a little boost here. Let's get those numbers going up. It says 13 days left. So we'll see sort of how much time there is there. But really, really cool net zero recycled steel panels for sustainable construction. We'd really encourage people to be able to read through before they invest. That there's some really great information here in terms of just basically what it is, talking about the impact. So we do have direct impact through tree preservation, carbon emission savings, timber waste reduction, and buildings completed. That we're building this senior care facility, which is super, super cool as part of this project. There's also the indirect impact through community impact and job creation, which we really love. And then, folks can go through sort of what you're going to be using the money for and all that lovely type of information. What the deal that I want to communicate to folks is that the good people at GoParity have given us a $50 voucher. So everyone who's part of this and was listening, watching on YouTube, listening to the podcast, who's here live tonight, you can get a $50 voucher towards this Goparity campaign. So the way that it works is if you've never signed up for Goparity before, if you're new to Goparity, then use the link that we've provided to be able to get that $50 voucher, and that'll be automatically credited to your account. For those of us who already have a Goparity account set up, like myself here, that, it's really nifty with the platform. I can see some assets. I just added some money through an e-transfer. It looks like it's still pending, so I'm going to wait a little bit longer for that to arrive. But what I can do is have a voucher, redeem it here. And I believe if we just do good investing here, that I can add my code. And let's see, my code was successfully redeemed. Perfect. So I'm going to click invest now. This is going to be able to, it should be available here. So it's going to be $50. I was hoping to have a little bit more money that I could add to this, but it looks like I've only got $13 right now. So why don't I do $10 here? And then it'll add the $50 voucher that I've gotten here. I can confirm that I understand what's happening here, and I will continue. From here, I do get the posting supplement and some nice information. I'm going to add my signature. This is interesting. 2 business days to cancel my purchase. That's nice. I like having that option. Schedule 1. If I go down here, I'll put my initials. I'm not an eligible investor. This is investors' minimums, so I know way too much about these. So I cannot invest more than $10,000 in all of these things in the previous 12 months. That is fine. I'll put my initials there. And then finally, I agree, and I will confirm and make my $60 investment into Build Smarter. There you go, Harv. I'm really, really happy to see these numbers rise. And we'll be really, really excited to be able to watch the success of your campaign.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I think there's just a huge play here to make housing more resilient, and we're seeing it play out in real time. And we have to build these homes to be non-combustible and to last longer. And it's just a huge insurance problem and a huge, like even life problem, right? It doesn't make sense to build these homes that are wood. And in certain neighborhoods, right? Not everywhere.
In certain neighborhoods, yeah.
Especially.
And doing it prefabricated, right? Like, it just means that my understanding is that it's so much faster, it's so much cheaper, that I think that, we are in an affordable housing crisis right now. And, it's very clear to me that we need to build a lot more homes and facilities. And, there's lots of work to be done. There are many things to be built. And it sounds like this is going to be a really cool part of the solution.
Yeah, totally. We're going to job sites, and what we're seeing is the skill level of carpenters is not really what it was maybe 10, 15 years ago. And we actually need to make that building these homes actually a little bit easier. And that's kind of what we enable, is that we do all that decision making in a 3D modeling stage. So that when it comes on site, you're just putting these things together. I mean, I built the first house myself, and I didn't know anything about carpentry. I just, followed the plans, and all of a sudden I had a house, right? So
wow, that's so cool. And so dream big with me for a minute, that this is 100K. We're raising 100K through Goparity. We raised that 100K, you're successful, you build these projects, because this really is, that your business is a capital intensive business, right? That you need the money upfront to be able to build the walls, to be able to like ship the walls and get them to the site, so that, you can get paid for them. So, I know it's a capital intensive business, and really, really love that this is going to be great. But like, what's next? Like, dream big with me for a little bit. If you've got access to money, if people are willing to invest not just 100K, but the next 100K and the 100K after that, and and if money was abundant for you, what would that mean for Build Smarter?
yeah, the way I envision this is really having, you can think of it like a printing facility in almost every major city. So when anyone is going there to build a home, they have the option of going with wood, and also the option of going with steel. And if it's steel, they send the plans, we print their walls, and they get prefab walls delivered. Eventually, everything will go prefab anyways. We just think prefab steel is kind of the best option right now, especially given the current environment. But that's what I think, is that we'll essentially have printing facilities for homes in every city.
That would be so cool. I mean, it was interesting. I've played a little bit with 3D printers over the years, and this notion of like being able to build things instead of, having something manufactured around the world and having it made there and then shipped to me, so far, being able to make things locally in a cost-effective way, I just think is going to, reduce energy across the board, and that we're in a bit of a funny world right now where it does feel like we're seeing some protectionism, right? And where the globalization, the story that we were sold on globalization, several decades ago hasn't really panned out, and that I do think we are going to see a real shift to much more local economies. And so, knowing the housing crisis that we are facing right now, being able to build one of the more, intensive parts of the home, being able to build that locally, I think is just going to be absolutely critical.
Yeah, totally. I'm a big believer in manufacturing within Canada and having that localized manufacturing. It's almost kind of like a hub and spoke model where you can have your 3D, kind of modeling happening really anywhere, but that model gets sent to whichever city needs that project.
Amazing. Well, Ayeta says signed up. We'll read more and consider investing. Absolutely want to, make sure everyone does sort of do their due diligence, understand the risks that with any investment does come risk. So we do have a video that I can put in the show notes, that the risks for people to consider before they start impact investing and how to approach this type of thing. Really want to encourage people to do that, do some homework, take a look at Build Smarter, but really, really happy for you to join me tonight and to show people this very tangible example of an impact investment that they could make tonight if they wanted to. So Harv, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity here, Tim.